Welcome to this Tutor to You Sociology topic video on education. In this video we're going to look at rationing education, the work of David Gillborn and Deborah Youdell. David Gillborn and Deborah Youdell published influential research into how schools allocate opportunities under marketisation policies. Their study is often referred to as the theory of educational triage, and it remains a staple for students studying the sociology of education. The context for Gillborn and Youdell's study was the education reforms of the 1990s. Following the 1988 Education Reform Act, schools were increasingly subject to market principles, league tables, parental choice and competition for funding. Schools were under pressure to perform well in league tables because their funding, reputation and survival depended upon exam results. Gillborn and Youdell wanted to see how this pressure affected teachers' decisions and students' opportunities. The key question in their research was how do teachers respond to accountability measures like league tables, and what impact does this have on different groups of students? Their theoretical perspective combines interactionism and critical perspectives on educational policy. For an interactionist view, the focus is on labelling, streaming and teacher expectations. But Gillborn and Youdell also wanted to show how these micro-level processes are shaped by structural changes like marketisation and performativity. Methodologically, they used classroom observations and interviews with teachers in London secondary schools. This qualitative approach allowed them to observe real-time decisions about students' ability and potential, and to capture teachers' own accounts of how they prioritise pupils. The strength of this method is that it highlights the hidden processes of education that statistics can't capture, such as the subtle ways teachers allocate time and resources. However, as with most qualitative research, critics might argue it is less representative because it is based on a limited number of schools. The headline concept in Gillborn and Youdell's research is educational triage, which works like medical triage in a hospital. Teachers, under pressure to produce results, effectively sorted students into three groups: those who would succeed anyway, high achievers who need little help, those with potential to achieve a passing grade or higher, the borderline group, given the most attention, and those who are seen as having little chance of success, often written off as a hopeless case and given minimal support. This process meant that resources and teaching time were concentrated on the middle group, because helping them scrape a pass would boost the school's league table position. In contrast, the lowest achieving students were neglected, effectively denied educational opportunities. Gillborn and Youdell described this as rationing education. Opportunities were not equally distributed but allocated according to which students could best serve the school's performance targets. Importantly, they found that working class and black students were more likely to be placed in the hopeless category, reflecting the influence of labelling and stereotypes. One teacher, for example, described certain students as unteachable, while others expressed that there was no point wasting resources on those unlikely to achieve 5 GCSEs at grade C or above. These comments illustrated how structural pressures from league tables translated into everyday classroom decisions that reproduced inequality. The findings have major implications. They suggest that marketisation policies intended to raise standards may actually widen inequality. By prioritising league table success over the needs of all pupils, schools were incentivised to write off disadvantaged groups. A strength of Gillborn and Youdell's research is that their theory of educational triage has been supported by other research. For example, evidence by the Sutton Trust has shown that disadvantaged pupils are less likely to be entered for higher tier exams, reflecting the same logic. Another strength is that their research combines structural and interactionist insights, showing how policy pressures shape classroom practice. However, a weakness is that their study focused on London schools at a point in time, so critics might question whether it applies universally. Others might argue that some teachers resist these pressures and still try to support all pupils equally. Nevertheless, Gillborn and Youdell's work is highly relevant for AQA A-level sociology students. In questions on why working class students underachieve, you can use the concept of triage to show how they are labelled as hopeless and denied support. In questions on educational policy, their findings provide a powerful evaluation of marketisation, showing how it leads to inequality rather than meritocracy. And you can also link educational triage to interactionist theories of labelling and streaming, and to wider debates about ethnicity and social class in education. In short, Gillborn and Youdell reveal how education under marketisation is not about giving everyone a fair chance, but about rationing opportunities to maximise performance data. Their concept of educational triage is a crucial tool for understanding inequality in contemporary schooling. That concludes this Tutor to You Sociology topic video on education, looking at rationing education, the work of Gillborn and Youdell. Thanks for watching.